The story begins with Omomo Rin fighting with a dragon that has 5 bodies in the lowest layer of Hollow Dungeon. A bloody dragon with 5 bodies was interesting for him. He prepared his weapon and started slashing its head one by one. The dragon continued to attack Omomo, but he was skilled enough to dodge its attacks. But he was annoyed by how loud this dragon was. His ears were getting bad because of them. He decided to use Black Hole Zone and finish them all. This skill created lots of magic circles and struck the dragons at the same time. After striking them all, it absorbed their bodies, making them disappear. With this win, Omomo assumed it was time for his level to increase. Just as he expected, his level increased and he was now level 9,999. His physical attack, physical defense, magic attack and defense were all at peak. He was pretty happy to reach the long-awaited level cap. It was worth spending years leveling up, even sacrificing sleep, looking for good grinding spots and collecting materials to strengthen equipment. This was more difficult than any game he had poured himself into before. He was so happy about the level increase that he forgot about the material drop after killing the dragon. Looking at the materials, he was happy to receive the Bloody Dragon's magic eye. He wondered how much reward he would get from the Dungeon Management Ministry. 50 years ago, dungeons appeared all over the world. People panicked at the time, but as a matter of course, modern people now coexist with the dungeon. Within dungeons, people could only use magic and skills. Because there were valuable resources not found in the outside world, nations were providing support for explorers. Exploration was life-threatening, but this dungeon exploration was incredibly interesting for a game addict like Omomo. No matter which SNS or bulletin board he looked at, he had never heard of such a thing as a level cap. He had reached the limit, so he wondered what lies beyond this. The system informed him that he could now acquire extra skills. From now on, his level would no longer increase even if he defeated monsters, but if his experience reaches a certain amount, he could learn extra skills. And now he can acquire teleportation skills as an extra. He wanted to try it out right away, but it was getting late and he had been at it continuously since 6 a.m. today. He really didn't want to go to school tomorrow, but he had no choice, so he went home and slept early. The next day at school, Onizuka, Omomo's main bully, asked him for 10,000, saying he needed money. He yelled at him to hurry up and hand it over or he would kill him. Normally he should probably resist him, but if it could be settled with money, there was no problem for him. His savings were already in the hundreds of millions or billions, so he had no problem giving a pathetic bully some of his money. It was a bother to use effort for anything other than dungeon capturing, so this was fine. Onizuka grabbed the money from him and punched him in the stomach for fun. As he collapsed to the ground, he told Omomo to be glad that this wasn't a dungeon. If it were, he would have put a hole through his stomach. The other students kept bullying and making fun of him for giving money to Onizuka. Meanwhile, Omomo was thinking about how much better this was than a monster's attack. Onizuka's friend approached him and said he watched the live streaming he did with Corius yesterday. Onizuka responded that he received a collaboration offer from him. The students were all amazed by him. Currently on video sharing sites, the hugely popular dungeon streams, explorers are doing live streams while killing monsters. And as far as he knew, Corius was a famous influencer who gathered fans there. Apparently Onizuka reached level 30 there. He said his skill was Fist King, so even famous people didn't leave him alone. Yesterday's stream already had 50,000 PVs and he claimed that it was blowing thanks to him. It seemed to be a system where income was generated by the number of PVs. More than that, it seemed like hunting S-rank monsters was more likely to earn money. Omomo stood up and went to his seat while thinking about trying out that new skill he had learned. While people kept talking about the dungeons. After school, his first job was to go back to the lowest floor and try that skill. He had 5 available skills and teleportation as an extra skill. He could sort of imagine it from the words, but he didn't really understand how to use it. He wanted to confirm his abilities, but he heard a scream, so he stopped. He was shocked because he was in the lowest layers. He used his perception skill and saw someone surrounded by 3 evil presences, but they were quite far away. If things continue like this, that person might die. It was perfect timing to use his new skill. He activated teleportation magic. Meanwhile, that person was trying to save herself from the ogres. It was supposed to be a stream where she would just lightly twist the ogre, but she did not see that coming. One of the ogres grabbed her and started squeezing her in the palm of its hand. Just as she was about to give up, Omomo appeared. The viewers were shocked that he reported here in an instant. Omomo started with the one who was holding the girl and punched him. He knocked out the ogre with one kick and saved the girl right before she fell to the ground. He asked if she was alright and then landed her safely. He told her to wait a second and turned to the other ogres. The ogre was behind him and it attacked from a blind spot. However, Omomo used his teleportation skill and dodged this attack pretty easily. He realized that this teleportation skill was really handy. He then counterattacked the monsters and killed them at once. The viewers were going crazy over him and they even donated money to see him more. Compared to yesterday's bloody dragon, it wasn't much of a big deal for Omomo. He finally looked closely at the girl he saved and realized that she was Yura. There were rumors about her at school, but he never thought she would actually be in this dungeon. He had a feeling that if he got involved, something troublesome would happen, so he decided to go home quickly. It was good that it didn't turn into something serious. He told her that if she were a capable person she couldn't do dangerous things. He was about to leave but she told him to wait. She was also at a high level of 80 in society, and the enemy she couldn't beat was handled so easily by that person. She wondered who that guy was who saved her and checked his level. She was shocked to see that he was level 9999. Now she was even more interested to know who he was. In the next scene, Omomo woke up pretty tired and he really wanted to go back to sleep. Yesterday was exhausting with all the unexpected stuff that happened. Yura stopped him and asked his name, but he refused to say it. Shocked, she wanted to know the reason. He explained that if someone like her, a famous person, knew his name, it would definitely cause trouble. She then asked him to at least tell her his initials. He said it was but she was sure he made that up. He swore that it was real, so she couldn't object anymore. She wanted to give him some materials as a thank you, but he said he didn't need them and disappeared again. He felt a bit bad, but careless introductions could be his downfall, so this was better. Once again, the moment he stepped inside the school, he was grabbed by Onizuka and his friends. Seeing him with his friends this time, he wondered what he was planning. Apparently, Onizuka heard about the rumors of him saving his Yura. He said it was a ridiculous fake story about how he took down that death devil ogre instantly. Omomo never knew that she was live streaming in that situation, so he was shocked. Onizuka said a loser like him shouldn't be standing out and started beating him up. While kicking him, he said that a pathetic shut-in like him could never do something like that. Omomo knew that he was jealous and was a small-minded guy, but he didn't want to deal with him, so he said he was right and that it wasn't him. This would work out better for Omomo if they spread the rumor that it was him. He wouldn't draw attention, and a little beating was a small price to pay. Suddenly, while he was beating Omomo, someone asked what he was doing. A woman approached them and asked what was going on here. She removed the mask she was wearing, and it was Yura. Shocked, Omomo wondered what she was doing here. Yuri repeated her question, asking what they were doing to her precious Rin. Onizuka was shocked when she called him her precious and asked what she was talking about. She told Onizuka that she was the one asking the questions. She said that this was clearly bullying, her aura was terrifying, she was totally different from how she was during the stream. Omomo could feel that this was going badly, so he told Yura that he was fine and there was nothing to worry about. But Yura blushed and was touched by how kind he was. He tried to say it wasn't about kindness, but it didn't seem like it would work on her. If this keeps up, the get beaten up on purpose to lower suspicion strategy wouldn't work, so he started panicking. Onizuka started screaming that there was no way some shut-in freak like him saved Yura. Yura told him that he did not have the right to call her with a niching suffix and that it was disgusting. And besides, for cowards who gang up on someone alone, it was insulting to even compare him to Rin. Her scary aura disappeared again while she was saying he effortlessly crushed the enemy with that calm expression. She then told Onizuka that he was nothing like him. He was just the worst. Onizuka couldn't process what she was saying to him, so he said that no matter how she looked at it, he was way more charming than Omomo, and defeating the monster was surely just a fluke. He told her to collaborate with him next time. His level was quite high and he was reasonably famous. What he was saying was nonsense to Yura. Omomo was worried about Yura. Surely Onizuka was out of the question, but here, his dungeon level didn't apply. If she talked like that, he was worried that Onizuka might attack her. But Yura wasn't scared of him and said she had no interest in scumbags lower than trash. Onizuka was now angry, and he grabbed Yura's shoulder to attack her. However, Omomo stepped in and held his arm. He said that this was enough, but Onizuka didn't listen to him. Omomo just saved Yura's shoulder and let him go. Onizuka asked if that was all. Omomo apologized and explained that he couldn't go easy on him and then slapped him on the face. He then asked for the next person who was beaten. The others didn't seem so scared and one of them attacked him again. He punched him in the face just like Onizuka and asked how it felt to be defeated by that gloomy guy. They were all surprised by his sudden powerful attacks, but they didn't stop approaching him, so he beat everyone one by one. After they were all on the ground, Omomo hoped that it was over, but then Onizuka came and he was holding a knife. He also reminded Omomo that his big brother was part of the Yakuza and he wouldn't get away with it. But Omomo didn't seem scared at all. Shocked, Onizuka tried to repeat what he just said, but Omomo told him that this had nothing to do with him pulling out a knife and asked if he was stupid. He even told him to just start over from elementary school. Onizuka furiously attacked him with his knife, but Omomo grabbed his wrist and knocked him to the ground. He twisted his arm and was about to break it. Onizuka begged him to stop. Omomo reminded him that he didn't stop when he told him, and after beating people senseless all this time, there was no point for him to beg for his life when it was his turn. Onizuka realized that he couldn't stop Omomo, so he asked Yura for help. Meanwhile, Yura was streaming to him to show his actions and pathetic display. He was long past the point of being saved. Omomo told him that he didn't defy him because he was afraid. It was just a hassle and nothing more. He broke his arm and knocked him off after that sentence. Yura was shocked and asked why he didn't fight back before if he was that strong. He responded that an ordinary peaceful life mattered to him the most. After that they went to a park, and Yura patched him up. She asked if it was hurting because he had been beaten so badly. He responded that some amateur punches wouldn't work on him. He planned to brush this off and clear his name quietly, but Yuria's showing up ruined everything. Omomo then asked how she knew it was him. She told him to relax because he had already been perfectly identified. Omomo was not okay with that, and she even streamed it. She said that she came to meet him in the first place, and she had to protect herself too. Even if she was an S-rank explorer, outside the dungeon, she was just a normal girl. Taking on 4 grown guys was impossible, so he understood why she would bring protection. Omomo then asked what great Yuria wanted with an ordinary high school boy like him. Shocked, Yuria told him that someone who one-shot a Death Devil ogre was anything but ordinary. She then started blushing and said she came to repay the favor. She never properly thanked him after that. He tried to say she didn't have to do that, but she seemed annoyed by his attitude. She then added that he could call her Karin. Miyamoto Karin was her real name. Omomo agreed because calling her Yuria outside would stand out. He stood up and told Karin that he was not looking for any repayment. She ignored him and said she would call him Rin. Rin told her to stop getting involved with him. Karin asked if he was sure he wanted to say that because she happened to have some juicy information that only a 1 million subscriber here knew. Just as he was saying he wasn't interested in, Karin told him that it was Orichalcum Slime. Orichalcum Slime was a monster with overwhelming speed and defense, making it extremely hard to defeat. But in essence it yields massive experience. Its materials were top tier, and any equipment made from them ranks among the best. Even though he only had a small amount of its materials, encountering it was rare to begin with. Sharing this information with someone else was big. Karin told him comfortably that they were spawning in large numbers in the West Cherry dungeon. She said she told only him and hoped that it would help. She wanted to meet with him after school, but he brushed her off and thanked her for the useful information. Karin was still attracted to his cold attitude. In the next scene, Omomo Rin went to the West Cherry dungeon. His level was already capped, and if he gathered the strongest equipment here, he would be undefeatable. Although he wanted to go in alone, Karin joined him. The bottom floor of the West Cherry dungeon should be the 50th. The Orichalcum Slime was supposed to be there too, but it would take forever if they went the normal way. Karin suggested running for it and hoping they would at least catch 1 or 2, but Omomo had better ideas. He told her to grab his hand and use his teleportation skill. After they teleported, he explained that it was a skill he recently acquired called teleportation. Right next to them they saw so many Orichalcum Slimes. Their defense was so high that you normally can't deal any damage, but that didn't matter to someone like him who was already maxed out. He grabbed her hand and said they were heading to the next spot. Karin finally confirmed that Rin was stronger and cooler than anyone she had ever met. Now she was absolutely sure of it. She wanted to get stronger too. She was aiming to become a girl who was worthy of being by Rin's side. Rin attacked the slimes they encountered again, but one of them ran away, so Karin told him to leave it to her and used her absolute zero ice magic. She was a lot better than he thought, and he couldn't help but tell her that. She said she had 10 million subscribers. They continued to defeat slimes one by one and took down all of them. There were so many of them that they were worn out. When Karin checked her status, she saw that she was already level 150. Even for an S-rank explorer, level 20 was usually the limit. And this was all thanks to Rin. Rin told her that it was because of her information that they were able to hunt this many Orichalcum Slimes. She still said it was thanks to him and that she was so glad she met him. Rin told her that she was overreacting and checked his status to see his new extra skill. He received a skill called Magic Reflection. He wondered if it meant he could reflect magic attacks back at the opponent. He would just have to test it out in the next battle. That was already his second extra skill. All that hard work taking down hundreds of Orichalcum Slimes really paid off. But the thing he was most curious about was definitely the materials. He checked them, and there were so many materials. When you defeat monsters in a dungeon, you get reward money and materials based on the enemy's strength. The precious jewel in particular was a rare material with an extremely low drop rate, and he got 17 of them. That was quite a haul, which means he only had one material left to have the World's End magic sword. This magic sword was a weapon that could only be crafted after gathering 100 different types of incredibly rare materials, but he still had no idea what those final materials were. Besides, the name World's End was bothering him. He had no idea what that was supposed to mean, but with these many required materials there was no doubt it was a legendary weapon. His goal was to finish it and make it his. Suddenly he heard Karin scream. She said she just got 60 million gold in rewards. She wasn't sure if it was okay for her to take this much. Rein told her that it was fine and to just take it, but since he was the one who defeated almost every one of them, she wasn't sure. Rein told her that without her he wouldn't have been able to take down so many of them. That was her reward. While they were talking, other explorers came to the 50th floor and were shocked to see there was no slime left for them to defeat. They were confused because they should have been the first ones to reach the bottom floor. They wondered who on earth could have pulled off such a feat. Even for S-rank explorers like them, it took 20 minutes just to handle one. Rin and Karin hide behind a big rock after seeing the explorers, and Rin told her to grab on so they could leave. They used teleportation right before an explorer noticed them. The next morning, Rin was shocked by the news. Apparently, those adventurers reported about the slimes and how it was impossible to slay them all like that, and now the government is investigating who accomplished this feat. This was getting out of hand and Rin didn't know what to do. While he was thinking about that, Onizuka texted Rin and told him to come to the Sky Dungeon with Yura. He said that he was going to kill him this time. Come to think of it, Onizuka and his lackeys haven't shown up to school since that incident. After all, the footage of him attacking with a knife was streamed to 10 million people. He thought the police would have made a move by now, but he hadn't heard a single word about that. He recalled Onizuka saying his brother was a mobster and questioned if the mob was really involved in this. Karin called him and asked if he got the message from Onizuka. He said he did and asked if she got one too. Apparently he was having a duel with Omumo, the Sky Dungeon, tomorrow at 10 p.m., and he wanted her to stream it to the whole country. Rin told her not to come and stay somewhere safe tomorrow. He explained that there was a high chance the mob was involved in this, and outside the dungeon she was just a normal high school girl. Karin told him that this was the same for him. She knew he took down Onizuka and the others outside the dungeon, but he was still a high school student just like her. He told her that he would be fine and that he would handle this on his own. Before he hung up on her, she screamed that she was in love with him and that she didn't want to lose him. She said she knew she could be blunt, but he was more considerate of others than anyone else. If he wasn't, he wouldn't have risked being seen on stream just to save her. If he hadn't saved her back then, she wouldn't even be in this world anymore. That's why this time she was going to be the one to protect him. Her combat power might still be unreliable, but she was the one who could spread the video. And even if he refused, she said she would go there on her own. Rin realized that there was no way to convince her, so he said fine. In exchange, he asked her to stay by his side when they were outside the dungeon. The next day, Rin went to the Sky Dungeon and faced Onizuka. Onizuka said he couldn't believe he had the guts to show up. Rin asked if his shoulder was already healed. Onizuka told him that, unlike a commoner like him, he had doctors around him that he would never even meet in a normal hospital. Rin then asked Yura if the stream was ready to go, and she confirmed it. She put out 4 phones to capture every angle. Onizuka told Yura that he was way stronger than Rin, and he was going to make her realize that right now. He said he would show him something interesting, and started doing something. He said he was level 50 now. Rin was actually surprised because unless he knew about a perfect hunting ground, there was no way he could have jumped 20 levels in such a short time. On top of that, there was no way he could have fought monsters while injured, which means there was only one possibility. He used a massive amount of juice from experience. Experience juice was a drink that granted experience. In lower level brackets, drinking just 1 bottle could result in a level up. It was extremely rare and very difficult to obtain. Onizuka thought he was scared since he figured he used experience juice. The viewers also figured that he was still rooting for Rin. Onizuka told him to come on and bring it on. Rin noticed that his mouth was as big as ever. This time he decided to fight him with just this one finger. And if he breaks this rule, he is going to give him the win. This made him even more furious. Onizuka made the first attack with his weapon, but he lost sight of Rin when he swung it and was thrown away by Rin's finger. He didn't give up and told him not to get cocky as he jumped on Rin, but this time Rin shattered his sword with just one finger again. Shocked, Onizuka was stunned. Rin told him that with his attack power he can't even scratch him. People thought Rin was level 3, so they were shocked that a level 50 guy was losing to him. Onizuka kept attacking him with all he had while screaming. His weapon was now useless after a one-finger attack from Rin. Onizuka collapsed and was too worn out to even make another attack. Rin told him that there was no way he could beat him with something like that. However, Onizuka started smirking because he was using fireballs behind Rin, thinking he had let his guard down. He said he leveled up and learned a new spell. The fireballs didn't end with that and they kept coming at Rin. He said he had a crazy talent for magic, and he could mass-produce fireballs. He was sure that slamming this many fireballs would kill him because there was no way he was that strong. However, Rin used this to test his new extra skill, Great Magic Counter. As he pointed at Onizuka, all the fireballs he created came at him. Everyone was shocked. After that attack, Onizuka was on the floor, and he could barely lift his head up. He said he would never forgive him, but Rin couldn't care less about his forgiveness. Karin came and informed Rin that the stream went perfectly. While Karin was complimenting Rin, he noticed that Onizuka was still smirking, so he sensed something was happening and told Yura to get down. Bombs started raining on them. Onizuka did this to make them die together. Rin grabbed Yura and used the teleportation skill to go back to the dungeon entrance. He put down Karin and asked if she was okay. Before they could catch a breath, they saw a bunch of dudes waiting for them. Rin immediately figured that the duel back there was just baited to lure him out here. The real killing ground was here. The man acknowledged Rin's smartness. After seeing how he one-shotted the testable ogre in that video, they figured they didn't stand a chance inside the dungeon, so they forced a fight out here instead. They said that this was all on his big brother's orders, so he didn't need to take it personally. A man came out of the dungeon with Onizuka on his back and said he was fine. Going this far over some brat wasn't exactly dignified, but now his crew was involved in this, so he told Rin to give up and die. Karin told Rin to forget her and run because the situation was bad. Rin told them that they would better be ready to bet their lives on this. They obviously didn't take him seriously and thought he was trying to act cool in front of a girl. The bald musclehead said he didn't need to worry that much because they were both headed to the afterlife together anyway. As he threw his weapon at Rin, he stopped him with his bare hands and asked him again if he was ready to bet his life. He grabbed the man by the throat and started choking him with only one hand. He was actually mad that they really thought they could beat him just because they were outside the dungeon. They were 100 years too early for that. He punched the man in the face and threw him to the ground. Everyone was shocked. They heard he had good battle sense from training in the dungeon, but he was way too strong for them. Back when Rin was little, his father taught him the secret to how to fight. He had a knack for it, and he was sure he would surpass him in no time. Rin didn't want to fight at all and just wanted to play with his friends. His father told him that he knew he was a kind kid, but as the son of a Yakuza boss, living an ordinary life wasn't easy. All he wanted was to live peacefully like everyone else, like a laid-back normal person, but he couldn't have that even when he was a kid. Rin wanted to make it clear that he was going to be fighting while protecting her, and they still wouldn't be able to land a single scratch on him. They pissed him off, so they were going to regret it at the very bottom of hell. Seeing his bloody eyes, the gangster men were sure he was not just some normal civilian. They tried to convince each other not to chicken out and reminded themselves that he was just a kid. They all attacked Rin simultaneously, but he knocked most of them within seconds. Karin wasn't questioning who Rin was anymore. She was questioning what Rin was. Rin told them that they had zero real combat experience, and at this rate, other gangs would walk all over them. They seemed triggered and told him that he was just some book-smart rich boy. Rin told them that compared to monsters, they were at a baby level. And what they were saying about being a rich boy was true, and they were losing to that rich book-smart boy. Triggering them worked, and they all attacked him again. Rin took out his knife and slashed them all one by one before they saw him coming. They couldn't believe they were losing to some punk. Rin told them to relax because he avoided the vital spots. More importantly, he wanted to talk about how they had been covering for Onizuka. He said they were the ones pulling strings and asked if they were in bed with some politician or something. The man said he didn't know anything, and there was nothing he had to tell him. But when Rin grabbed his head and hit him on the ground, he told the man to just answer. The man started laughing and told him that Big Bro Haba was going to get here, and once he did, he was done for. He said that Haba was crazy strong and he was already as good as dead. Before Rin could ask about Haba, a knife was thrown at them, so he grabbed Karin and dodged it. A man with one eye said his moves weren't bad. He kept attacking Rin with a knife. From the first moment Rin counterattacked him, he figured he could handle himself a little. He then noticed the scar on his face and confirmed why he was strong. He knew him when he was a little kid. When he said he still had that scary face and called his name, Haba was shocked. Karin asked if they knew each other. Rin explained that Haba was the one who raised him in his father's place. Shocked, Haba asked if he was Rin and was confused as to why he was here. He then looked at his men on the ground and Rin explained that they were the ones who had picked a fight with him first. Haba was shocked that they picked a fight with Rei-sama. He called them an idiot and asked if they even realized who they just messed with. The guys on the floor were still confused as to what was going on. Haba told them that this man was the son of boss Kamasuyama. He was the blood-soaked silent one, Rei Omomo. Everyone was shocked that they had just tried to kill their boss's son. Judging from how things looked, Rin assumed it should be fine now. He still told Karin not to leave his side because they never knew what might happen. He couldn't blame her for being scared. Rin asked Haba what was going on, and if he was secretly funneling money to politicians for Onizuka's sake. Haba explained that this was something done by a subordinate group. The Kamasuyama family wasn't directly involved. He figured that much. He asked why politicians were even moving. This was getting too big. That was actually what shocked them too. He couldn't say it too loudly, but there was a strange tension hanging over the whole organization. What's going to happen from here on out was a big question mark for them too. That was weird because Kamasuyama was one of the top syndicates in Japan. For an organization that big to be making blunders like this was odd. Haba bowed to Rin and apologized for his incompetence. Rin told him that it was fine, and more importantly, he just asked him to stop backing Onizuka. Just seeing his face pissing him off. Haba explained that they never really wanted to help him to begin with. It wasn't much of an apology, but Haba asked about some black market items they got from the Dungeon Management Ministry. He heard that Rin was putting a lot of effort into dungeon exploration. Rin confirmed in his head that they were really in bed with the government too. That experienced juice Onizuka was using must have come from the Dungeon Management Ministry as well. He told Haba that he didn't need it and that it was all dirty gear anyway. Haba corrected him that they weren't dirty gear and he was sure he would like them too. More importantly, Rin was curious about his old man. He asked if he was doing okay. Haba seemed excited and said he was absolutely okay. When he watched the video of him and Onizuka, he was screaming. Rin realized that he hadn't changed at all. His father doted on him like crazy ever since he was a kid. Even though he always scared his subordinates half to death, he was always super soft on him, which means he couldn't see him ordering his death. He didn't know what this bad feeling Haba mentioned was about, but there might be some kind of trouble inside the organization too. Haba said he would send him some black market items he would like another day. He had also heard about the money Onizuka took from him, so he was going to have his older brother take responsibility for that. Rin told him not to bother with that. He said that Yuria's streaming gear got wrecked, so he asked them to get the exact same setup delivered by tomorrow. Haba said yes and asked him to leave the rest of the cleanup to them. After that they started walking away from the dungeon entrance, but Yuria didn't say anything. He couldn't blame her because finding out the guy chasing her was tied to a dangerous organization would freak anyone out. It had always been like this. Whenever people learned about his family, they didn't want to be friends with him anymore. He would try to convince them to play with him, but they would run away. Everything happened so suddenly, they changed how they acted toward him and started running away. So before he knew it, he started obsessing over becoming normal. He stopped getting close to people and just escaped into games, spending all his time exploring dungeons. All he did was curse the way he was born and live an empty life where he avoided other people. He apologized to Karin for scaring her. He assumed she understood that he was not the great guy she thought he was. They got out of this mess in one piece this time, but he didn't know when she would get dragged into something again, so she should cut ties with him too. Nothing good would come from staying with someone like him. Deep down, Rin already knew that an ordinary life was something he was never meant to wish for. The next day, Rin was still exhausted from yesterday. He received a text message from Haba saying the matter with Onizuka had been dealt with. The news of his arrest was all over the internet. Haba pulled some strings for him. He responded saying it was nice work. Haba then informed him that Yuria's streaming gear was ready as well and asked how they should deliver it. This made him recall what happened yesterday. When he told her all that stuff, Yuria said what he said wasn't true at all. Surprised, Rin asked what she was talking about. He reminded her that if she stayed with him, she might get dragged into this stuff. Yuria asked if he had forgotten how much she liked him. She kind of sensed from the start when Onizuka attacked, and he mentioned the Yakuza, he didn't even flinch. On top of that, even when he pointed a knife at him, he still looked totally calm. She wasn't surprised at all. She thought Rin was a cool person after all. Rin was about to object to her again, but she hugged him and told him to stop trying to shoulder everything all by himself. Because she knew that he was actually really kind, and she fell in love with that side of him. She didn't care if people said she was reckless or called her an idiot. She just wanted him to let her stay by his side from now on too. First thing Rin thought was how weird she was. Everyone else tried to avoid him, but she kept coming closer no matter what. Even in a situation like this, she still wanted to stay by his side. Maybe ever since he was a kid, the thing he had always wanted so badly was something she had finally given him, he thought. Rin told Haba to send the gear to him and went to school. At school, everything changed. People kept greeting him and thanked him for his hard work. Everyone was clearly scared of him, so he figured they saw the stream. A girl approached him and thanked him. She was getting bullied too, and thanks to him, she was free now. Rin figured that with all the uproar over Onizuka's assault case, bullies couldn't act out so easily. He told her not to worry about it and that he didn't do anything. He said that she finally got away from those losers and from now on she could live however she wanted, to her heart's content. In the end, he was in the spotlight all day today. A car approached him when he got out of the school, and a woman asked if he was Ryo Momo. Rin was confused and asked what she meant. The woman approached him and said that it was from the boss. He wanted him to put those useless students in their place and show off a little on purpose. Rin was shocked and questioned what the hell his father was thinking. The other students who saw him with that beautiful woman assumed she was his girlfriend. They realized that he lived in a totally different world from them. Rin was once again frustrated that his peaceful ordinary days were over. Rin asked if this was about those black market items Haba mentioned. The woman said it was and asked him to get in the car. He had to get in and still cursed his father for doing such a thing. They went to the building's basement, and Rin started scolding Haba. He screamed at him that he just wanted to live a normal life and he had to go and wreck it. Haba apologized for all of it and mentioned the black market items. Rin told him to just spit it out already. He said that the vice minister of the dungeon management ministry wanted to meet him. That was way beyond annoying to Rin. Haba told him he wouldn't like it, but after watching his video where he one-shotted the Death Devil Ogre, he absolutely insisted on meeting him. Haba thought he could become a very useful connection for him, so he would really like to meet him if possible. Although he hated the idea of meeting that man, he knew that if Haba was pushing this hard, it must be an important meeting for the organization too. Rin asked if he understood what going this far meant. He said yes and explained that the vice minister was a reasonable man. He was sure he would offer him a good return as well. After he agreed to meet him, the door opened and an older man greeted Rin. He said that he had eyes far too sharp for a high schooler. This man was Shinji Ijima, vice minister of the dungeon management ministry. They shook hands and Ijima told his attendants to hand it to him. They gave him a card, so Rin said he didn't have a business card or anything. Ijima said this was a phone number he could use to dodge police investigations. Rin was shocked. He explained that on the surface he was an influencer, and behind the scenes he was the Kamasuyama family's young boss. There was always a chance he would get caught up in some kind of trouble. He could probably fight them off, but Japan was very sensitive about those sorts of incidents. He was going to arrange things so that no unnecessary investigations would start, and if the police show up, he just asks him to call that number. For someone he had just met, this was way too much, so Rin was sure there was more to this. Rin stated that if he was giving him something this big, then he had something really important to talk about. Ijima was surprised by how perceptive he was and said he might be the one who needs to be on guard here. Haba said he would show him the other black market items. A giant book opened in front of him. They had Taming Tomai level 1. Using this lets him obtain a new skill. In this case, it seemed to be a skill that lets him command monsters. Rin was shocked because he didn't know that he could receive the skill just by using the item. He only managed to use an extra skill himself not too long ago, and on top of that the ability was Taming. Sure, it was a pretty standard ability in games, but he had never heard of a dungeon explorer who could actually command monsters. The next one was a Phoenix Feather. If he died inside a dungeon, this would revive him once with his HP fully restored. Revival items were extremely rare, so he was sure this would be useful to him. That was a total cheat item, so Rin was even more surprised. Haba had other powerful items prepared as well. He asked him to take his time and choose whatever he liked. He had decided to take the Taming Tomi after all. Ijima asked if he was sure. They didn't know how strong Taming actually was as a skill. He didn't really care about that. It was exactly these unknown skills that gamers find so romantic. Ijima seemed surprised that he deliberately chose the unknown one instead of picking one of the obviously strong items. He really didn't seem like a normal high schooler. He then wondered what level Rin was. Haba responded that Rin had always been strong, but he had never actually asked him his level. Rin stated that he wouldn't mind telling him, but if he told anyone, he would actually kill him. Haba seemed intimidated, unlike Ijima, since he wasn't aware of how serious he could be. He showed them his status screen and they were shocked. They were sure that this was impossible. Ijima found him magnificent and said his eye for people wasn't wrong. Rin wanted to ask him something. He asked if he had ever heard of the World End Sword. He noticed it had suddenly appeared among his weapon crafting candidates, but no one seemed to know it. He was trying to craft that weapon, but no matter how much he searched for it, he couldn't find the last material. The materials were Bloodstained Dragon's Evil Eye, Death Mage's Staff, Divine Fate Dragon's Reverse Scale, and Orichalcum Slime's Supreme Jewel. Since the Dragon Management Bureau had information that ordinary people didn't, he thought Ijima might know something. He had already gathered the other 4 materials, but he didn't know what the final materials were. Ijima responded that he had never heard of it, and even the name of the weapon was new to him. Rin was upset that he didn't know anything about it. Ijima mentioned that he received an interesting report from a staff member. Inside dungeons, sometimes non-items could turn into items. People's feelings, firm decisions, things like that could crystallize into gems and become items. Even he, who seemed to know dungeons inside out, didn't know that, so it might well be some kind of special item. Rin was satisfied with this information. An attendant came and informed the vice minister that his next appointment was about to begin. Ijima didn't notice how fast the time passed and told Rin that there was a reason he entrusted him with black market items. He had a favor to ask. In the next scene, Rin was walking out of the place to go home. He was thinking about the favor Ijima asked him. He didn't want to get dragged into a mess, but he did get something out of it. While walking, he noticed that he was being followed by Karin. He turned to her and asked if she followed him all the way here. She panicked and acted like it was a coincidence. She said she was doing some night walking herself. Rin didn't care and just handed her new streaming equipment. Getting his account back was a hassle, but she would have to forgive him on that part. Karin thanked Rin for the equipment and noticed that the bag smelled like him. She said this like a song, and Rin called her weird for that. They continued walking, and Karin wondered if he had gotten wrapped up in some new trouble again. He didn't respond to her, so she told him that he didn't have to hide it. If he was talking with Haba, that means the Yakuza stuff wasn't completely settled yet. She was right, but he wasn't actually a gang member, and he didn't plan on actively getting involved in this mess. The moment she heard that, she suggested using her channel. A streamer who dives into the dark side of society was pretty cool. Rin tried to object to her, but she said it was decided. Rin wondered if she even listened to what he just said. Rin was still in disbelief that even after learning where he came from, she still linked her arm with his like always. She really was a strange girl. Whatever this feeling blooming in his heart was, he still didn't understand it. But at the very least, he didn't feel like running away from here anymore. Meanwhile, there was breaking news. In Kasumigaseki, Tokyo, they had received reports of multiple suspicious individuals appearing. All suspects were said to have vacant, unfocused eyes. The next day, Ijima called Rin. He was surprised that he called him at this hour. He wasn't sure about opening the call in a public place like this, so he hesitated. Suddenly, it was announced that there was a possible terrorist threat in this area, and they asked him to evacuate to a safe location immediately. The students started panicking because the civil protection sirens started ringing. That alarm only sounds when the country is facing an emergency. The teachers told the students to get inside the school and take shelter quickly. Rin opened the call and asked what was going on. Ijima figured he knew what had happened and informed him that things were worse than he expected. Given how serious this was, he was going to keep it short. They were the target of this attack, the Dungeon Investigation Bureau. He asked if he remembered what they had talked about the other day about the gang members. Ijima told Rin that he was almost certain now that within the Dungeon Management Ministry, the Dungeon Investigation Bureau was secretly involved. They compile information on newly appearing monsters, map out dungeon structures across Japan, maintain communications inside dungeons, and so on. They were the organization that investigated everything related to dungeons, and he was saying that the Dungeon Investigation Bureau caused that incident behind his back. They were still looking into it, but he was almost sure. Rin asked Haba if those subsidiary guys Onizuka's brother weren't actually their boss. Haba said no and explained that they should have been nothing but low-level grunts. That's why he couldn't understand why the government was protecting Onizuka. But based on what Iijima was saying now, it sounded more like the Dungeon Investigation Bureau approached Onizuka's brother first. Iijima said this was highly likely. Just a short while ago, tests on the thugs he defeated showed traces of drugs. Rin asked if he meant stimulants. They didn't know yet, but tracking the source of those drugs led them back to the Dungeon Investigation Bureau. They were probably using gangsters as test subjects to carry out some nasty plans. This was getting big, but Iijima said he might be the key to cracking this case. On the phone, Rin told Iijima that he didn't think they would come at them this openly. One of their staff members who was investigating the bureau had completely dropped out of contact since yesterday. For them to break the law and attack like this means that they were hiding something, and it was probably some secret about dungeons they were deliberately keeping from them. While talking, Rin noticed a man trying to choke a student. Rin wondered why a cop was here, but when he saw his face he was sure he wasn't a cop. Oddly, the man mumbled something about him. Their numbers increased and they looked like monsters. Rin jumped from the fence to save the girl before it was too late. The other cop monsters started shooting their guns at Rin, but he dodged all of them. He appeared right in front of the one who tried to shoot him and killed him with one punch. He then grabbed the cop's gun and told the other one to take his hands off her. He then shot him right in the arm that was holding the girl. He told the girl to get inside the school and take shelter. She thanked him while running away. Rin checked his bullets and asked the cop monsters if they were ready for this. He said that he would kill anyone who made a suspicious move. They didn't seem to understand what he was saying to them, and kept approaching him. As if the cop monsters weren't enough, some thugs with motorcycles appeared behind them. Rin wondered if they were from the Kamasuyama family or some other group. But seeing them rolling out with the whole squad, Rin figured that those bastards from the Dungeon Investigation Bureau really wanted him dead. He checked the gangsta people's faces and they all looked exactly like the cops, as if they were monsters. Black smoke was coming out of their mouths and they were having a hard time talking. There were too many of them for Rin to shoot them all. There were armed cops with guns and now the Yakuza too. In a dungeon he would be fine, but he wasn't sure if he could take this many on alone in the real world. He thought about what to do as they all approached him. Suddenly, students with bicycles started coming at them. They ride their bikes right at the monsters and decrease their numbers, and their leader seemed to be the girl Rin saved. Shocked, Rin asked why she came back. They heard what he did and how he saved that girl, so they joined the fight too. Rin told them to run away because those people weren't the kind they could beat. They knew that, but they didn't want to be bystanders anymore. They didn't care if they were seriously hurt. They kept turning a blind eye while he suffered all alone, and this time they wanted to protect him. Rin was shocked because for the first time in his life people chose to stay with him even though they knew how dangerous he was. Rin called them idiots because there was no way he could let them get badly hurt at this point. Everyone started giving their all to defeat those people. Meanwhile, that girl who was bullied like Rin was streaming his bravery to the whole country. If calling the police wouldn't do anything, then at least she could do this. While fighting, Rin noticed that they were clearly targeting him specifically. He wondered if this was the effect of that drug. He decided to just draw them all to him. He told the students that they were going to time their attacks with his. There were 5 on the right and 4 on the left. Rin just waited for them to jump on him. In the last second he jumped away and gathered them all in one place. The students then started beating them all at once, and after a while it seemed like they took them down. The students were shocked that they were able to do that and started celebrating. They said that Otomo was insanely strong. His plan was amazing too. But Rin didn't seem like he was relieved. They asked what was wrong. Rin started walking away and told them that he wasn't sure he could protect them this time. The students were confused as to what he was talking about. Even more cops were approaching to kill Rin now. Rin told the students that the next round was not going to be a game, so they must run away. Shocked, the students asked if he was going to fight them alone. He said that they had done more than enough and they could leave the rest to him now. They didn't want to leave him alone with this cop now. They wanted to help him even just a little. Rin told them no because they were going to die. Suddenly he saw a car coming at a crazy speed. He figured out who that might be. When the car stopped, a man with a rabbit mask apologized to Rin for keeping him waiting. He took out the mask and it was Haba. He said that it would be bad if his identity got exposed here. He showed him something and told him to use this instead and go wild as much as he liked. With that, even if there were 10,000 cops, he would have no trouble at all. That was not a bad idea at all, so Rin grabbed that stone and used it immediately. With that, round 2 started. With what Haba gave him, he could use his magic even outside the dungeon and he exploded every single cop right at that moment. Everyone was shocked because it seemed like a movie scene. The cops' bodies were burning, but they could still stand and tried to attack Rin as if they were zombies. He assumed that this drug wasn't something ordinary. The cops this time took out their guns and shot at him all at once. Once again, Rin used a magic and blocked the bullets from hitting the students. He told the cops that he was their enemy, and there was no need to drag them into this. He was sick of this situation, so he was going to end it. He used his Earth-type ultimate magic called Ball Smash and captured every single one of them. After capturing them, he crashed them all to the ground. With that, the cleanup was completed. Rin believed this would keep things safe for a while. The students were all amazed by how incredible he was. They asked how he did that because there was no way that was a normal human's movement. Rin couldn't tell them he could use his dungeon stats, so he wasn't sure about what to do. Haba appeared and informed Rin that he had a call from Ijima. He apologized to the students, saying he had somewhere else to go. As long as he wasn't here, they were all safe now. He also told them not to pry into everything. After what happened today, he had changed his opinion of the guys in his school a bit. They suddenly acted like soldiers, and Rin was weirded out. They said that Rin looked a lot like that blood-soaked silent one who had been trending online lately. Rin was shocked. The students thought they would see him off Yakuza style. Otomo was their leader and their boss now. This scene made Haba chuckle. When Rin finally left there, he asked Haba where they were going. He said that they were going to Kasumi Gaseki. According to Ijima, there was a government-exclusive dungeon there. Rin heard rumors about it. Top secret items unknown to the public, and monsters too dangerous to be released, are kept sealed away. It was a classified location somewhere in this country. Not even police officers could enter that dungeon. If they were thinking about safety, Ijima's suggestion made sense. Suddenly Rin recalled Karin and asked Haba to go to Karin's house. She had been with him this whole time, and there was a high chance the cops and the gang members would target her. He was right, so Haba drove there as fast as he could. Just as they thought, cops and gang members surrounded Karin's house. She said she would call the police and told them to get back. Rin appeared right on time and kicked one that was close to her. He asked if she was okay. Karin was so relieved that she started crying her eyes out and hugged him. Rin told her that it was okay now and told her to look out because they were shooting. One of them had a submachine gun. Confused, Karin asked what this was. Rin told her to get in the car because it wasn't the best time to explain now. At the car, Rei explained what was going on and she was shocked. Rei stated that they wanted him to be gone. She couldn't believe it came to this without her even knowing. Haba informed Rei that they had arrived at the National Diet Building. Ijima was waiting for them in the garden, and he seemed glad that they made it safely. Haba explained that with Rei on their side, there was never a chance they would succeed. Rei asked where this government-exclusive dungeon was. Ijima took out a magic stone and wanted to show them rather than tell them. After releasing the stone, a giant gate appeared behind them. They were shocked by how enormous it was. This was the government-exclusive dungeon. Suddenly, Rei started to feel pain in his heart. For a second he saw something, but he wasn't sure what it was. They asked if he was okay. The pain went away after he saw that image, and he told them that it was okay. He asked Ijima to continue. Ijima explained that just before the police started their rampage, something strange happened inside this dungeon. According to reports, a strange miasma started drifting out of the dungeon just a while ago, and immediately after, the Yakuza members started acting strangely. Even Haba was shocked. He asked if he was saying this dungeon was what triggered this whole incident. That was how it looked with everything that happened. But Ijima closed the gate as soon as the miasma appeared, so he couldn't be sure yet. Rei figured they didn't call him here because the dungeon was safe. They wanted him to solve this crisis for them. After all, he showed Mr. Ijima his maxed out stats the other day. It was natural for them to believe he could solve this. Ijima begged Rei to save them from this crisis. Rei responded that he would do it, but on one condition. He asked them to make the person credit with clearing the dungeon, Karin, instead of him. Karin was puzzled. Ijima figured out why he wanted this and said he would accept his term. This was for the best. Saving the world was a job for a hero of justice. He was born the son of a Yakuza boss and he had lived his life in the shadows. All he wanted was to keep on living his life as a normal high school student, but he saw them. The ones who regretted their actions and charged the Yakuza and the police, knowing full well the danger. Even after learning he was the son of a Yakuza boss, Karin accepted him. Even for someone like him, if he had found a reason to fight, then he had no choice but to give it his all. He was ready to go into the unknown. As the gate opened, they entered a place that was a lot different from any other dungeon. Confused, everyone looked around to figure it out. Rei noticed that those blocks were moving in a set pattern, so he guessed they were supposed to jump from one to the next to get across. Haba had never seen a mechanic like this. Karin looked closely and said that it was a pretty long jump, and when she checked underneath the blocks she was in an endless black space. Panicked, she screamed that there was no way she could do this. Rie was just thinking about using his instant teleportation though. Ijima told Rie that this space itself was completely different from other dungeons. This was the real reason it was designed as a government-exclusive dungeon, so its structure was fundamentally different from a normal dungeon. It made sense that the items they could find here would be different. Ijima added that when this dungeon was first discovered, an official excavated something that looked like the dungeon's name. It was Lendius Dungeon. Once again, Rei had that sharp pain in his heart. Rei was puzzled as to why this was happening. This should be his first time here, but he felt like he had heard that name before. Worried, Haba asked if he should get a doctor. Rei told him that it was fine and there was nothing to worry about. He asked Ijima what he meant when he said he excavated the name. He responded that according to the official they found a stone slab with that name carved into it. He couldn't get in touch with him now, so his current whereabouts were unknown. Rei was nervous to see what was waiting for them, and why was his body having such a strange reaction to all of this. Rei promised to do his best to protect everyone, but still warned them to stay on their guard in case something unexpected happens. In the following moments they fought different kinds of monsters that they had never seen before. The others slowed the monsters while Rei made the last attack to defeat them. When they killed it, Rei mentioned that he had never seen this monster in any other dungeon. Suddenly Karin noticed that it had started raining, and after a few seconds she started to feel dizzy. Rei was feeling the same thing and questioned if this was a status ailment. He looked at the sky and saw a witch. He tried to run away, but the status effect was making him sluggish. The witch seemed like she was enjoying them running away for their lives. While she was laughing, Rei used his power and made her fall from her stick. He used his magic attack reflection. If he didn't have this skill, that would have been bad. Karin was so glad that he was okay. Haba mentioned that he might have died if that had been him. Their levels were around 30 or 40. Rei told them not to let their guard down yet. The boss's area was just ahead and they needed to stay sharp. Karin reminded Rei that she was level 150 and that she would definitely protect him. That was certainly reassuring. After a while they finally arrived at the boss's room gate. Somehow the design on this door felt familiar to Rei, even though this was his first time here. They opened the door and Rei saw the image he had been seeing since today. The boss seemed like he had been waiting for them. It was the second demon, Fegnia Yugnant. Rei was shocked and asked who the hell he was. Fegnia told Rei that they were actually comrades and called Rei Lendius. Rei was shocked and felt the sharp pain again as he asked what he was talking about. When he closed his eyes he could see a memory, but it had nothing to do with him. Confused, he was about to go mad because of this situation. Haba asked Fegnia what he was doing to Rei. Fegnia started laughing and asked Rei if he was starting to remember now. He assumed Rei felt something was off. Even if he had been cooped up in the dungeons all this time, his level had been rising abnormally fast. No matter how much he had trained in the dungeons, he was perfectly fine after getting beaten up by Onizuka and his cronies every single day. Rei asked what he was trying to say. Fegnia approached him so fast that they didn't even see him move. He grabbed Rei's chin and told him that he was not an ordinary human. He was the fourth demon Lendius Zoroaga. He was a demon ordered by the same great lord demon as him to bring about the end of this world. Karin attacked Fegnia with her spear and told him to stop talking nonsense. She told him that Rei was Rhea and he wasn't some demon. Haba agreed and told him that he was the young master of the Kamisu Yamagumi. He had nothing to do with the likes of him. Fegnia laughed and told them that even if they all believed that, the facts were obvious. He turned to Rie and told him that the sword that would bring about the end of the world should already be in his item box. He was talking about the sword of the world's end. Fegnia started to create a black ball and attacked Rei with it. Rei couldn't dodge him and that black thing went inside of him. The thing kept telling him to kill humans and that they were demons. Rei was going crazy. Negative emotions were pouring into his body from that black sphere. Every kind of rage, sadness, and hatred was coming to his mind. He recalled what Ijima told him about how items that weren't quite born inside dungeons, like a person's feelings, their resolve, things like that, could take the form of a jewel and become an item. Apparently, he realized that the final material needed to complete the sword of the world's end was that ball of malice. His eyes turned black as the sword started forming. The black smoke started coming out of his body and he begged the others to run away. Fegnia had been waiting for this moment and he was so pleased. When the sword was complete, the demon Lendius would be reborn, and the world would be guided to its end. Rie turned into a monster. Karin would probably never forget this day for the rest of her life. Everyone was shocked by Rie's new form and didn't even know what they were looking at. The monster said 2 words, "Kill humans." Haba asked Fegnia what the hell he did to Master Rie. Fegnia responded that he just had Lendius Zoroaga return to his true form. To begin with, Lendius absolutely hated humans who didn't mind kicking others down to satisfy their own desires. That malice from earlier was essentially the feelings of those demons. They hated humans and they wanted to destroy humans. That malice became the final trigger and completed the sword of the world's end. Karin recalled Rei saying it just appeared in his status window on its own one day. But she had never even heard of a sword like that. And there were no eyewitness reports online either. So as the trigger to regain his memories as Lendius, it entered Rei's status window. Basically, monsters inside a dungeon can't go outside. However, if Lendius, who was originally human, turned into a demon, what would happen was obvious. Karin was shocked. Fegnia was thrilled by this outcome. Lendius himself was going to go outside the dungeon and slaughter every single human. Ijima asked if his subordinates were his doing too. Fegnia admitted that it was. They were getting super annoying, so he just hijacked the consciousness of a few of them. He told them to bring Lendius here, even if they had to use force. The Yakuza, the police, and even the Dungeon Investigation Agency, that entire series of incidents was just a charade to get Rei to return to his true form. Rei, with the last piece of his own mind, told them to run. He was no match for them anymore. Karin was shocked that he was still conscious. He kept telling them to run away. Fegnia seemed bored that he was still conscious and asked if he had actually grown attached to humans. Rei didn't listen to him and told Karin to get away. Karin started crying her eyes out and told Rei not to screw with her. She grabbed her spear and told him she didn't care about any of that at all. She told him that she would chase after him no matter where he went. Just because he turned into a demon, she was not going to cut ties with him. Haba stepped up and agreed with Karin. He told Rei that as someone who had watched over him since he was young, he was going to return him to normal even if it costs him his life. If he didn't, he wouldn't be qualified to call himself a Kamasuyama executive. Ijima joined them too, saying he was the one who invited him to this dungeon, and he had absolutely no intention of feigning ignorance and going home now. As the top official of the Dungeon Administration Bureau, he was going to protect Rei seriously. Rei tried to say something again, but the monster stopped him, and he screamed in pain. The black lightning around him was gathering in the sword, and that was the first time Karin saw the sword. Fegnia waited for Rei to release more of his power and hurt them. Haba told everyone to get back as he used a magic shield to protect them, but the shield broke down as Rei swung his sword. Ijima saw the opening after Haba got hurt and shot Rei, but he stopped the bullets with the palm of his hand. That was impossible because he boosted its power with an under-the-table item. Rei created another black sphere with his mouth and attacked them again. Thankfully, Karin was on time to save them. Haba was once again impressed, but that wasn't the right time to be impressed now. Karin told them that she was not going to give up. She didn't want to give up and accepted that the kind Rei she knew was just going to turn into a demon. She was not going to let it happen. She started running towards Rei and told him to give Rei back. She recalled what Rei said to her when she learned that he was the son of a Yakuza. Rei always tried to shoulder everything himself like that, but this time he wasn't alone. Rei grabbed Karin with his hand. Fignia chuckled and told her that everything was useless. He reminded her that they hold a grudge against humans. Karin didn't care if she died, she just wanted him to turn back into the old Rei. Rei threw Karin to the wall like a piece of trash as Fegnia told her to give up. He said that the Rei she knew didn't exist anymore. Even though he threw her to that wall pretty heavily, Karin was still standing. All Rei was saying was the same two words, kill humans. Karin told him that he had promised to Rei. This time it was her time to protect Rei. She opened her phone and started live streaming. She asked everyone to lend her their strength. The viewers were confused. She told them that Rei had been consumed by a demon's malice and turned into a monster. She asked them to send him their feelings and help Rei regain his human memories. The viewers started doing what she asked them to do and donated ticket after ticket. Karin did something to let those reach Rei. White lights came out of the phone and reached Rei's body. A blinding light appeared and everyone was shocked. In the next scene, Rei was drowning. He realized that it was pretty quiet and dying like this might not be so bad. Just as he thought no one was there, he heard Karin's voice calling for him. And just like that, he saw her grabbing his hand. She told him that she would follow him to the ends of the earth as she dragged him out of this place. Behind her there were thousands of people telling him that they loved him and they wanted him to come back. Shocked, Rei finally realized what was going on. The monster form of Rei shattered like glass and his real human form appeared as he dropped the sword. When he finally turned to his human form, he grabbed his sword. Worried, Karin asked if he was back to normal. Haba and Ijima waited nervously. Rei smiled and apologized to them for causing so much trouble. Karin was so glad that she couldn't stop herself from crying. She hugged Rei because she was so relieved. Rei apologized to Karin. He said he had a bad feeling about it, but he never expected his true identity to be something like this. Karin comforted him that it was fine. None of that mattered at all. She thanked him for coming back to her. Rei felt like he was the one who should be thanking her. Haba was also glad to see him return safely. Rei said he worried them as well and confirmed to them that he wouldn't turn back into that form again. That was better than anything. The rest were just Fegnia. Fegnia was shocked to see what was going on, and he was also puzzled. The grudge and obsession they had built up over many years disappeared with Karin's livestream. Rei told Fegnia that his time was up. Hijacking the police in Yakuza and planning to plunge all of Japan into danger was unacceptable, and Rei was going to end it right here. Fegnia started laughing at him. He said that he had grown too accustomed to the human world and it seemed Lendius had adopted some naive ideas. He said he would have to drag him back to Dimension Zero by force and fix him. He told Rei to give it up because he had reached the max level, but they were being high and bound by the concept of levels in the first place. He who had withered into a human form could absolutely never defeat him. As he started transforming into a bigger monster, an earthquake happened. Haba told Rei that this was bad news. He suggested fighting together and finding a way to win, but Rei refused immediately. He said that this was not going to be necessary. He used the power of the sword and gathered as much power as he could. After that, he unleashed the second power with the demon's power that brings both creation and destruction. Fignia was shocked and asked what this was. Karin just thinks he looked pretty cool. Fignia told him that he didn't care about him. who had been seduced by humans. He was going to take him back later and slowly give him a lecture. He created illusions of himself to confuse Rie. He deceived and befuddled his opponents, wiping out entire armies without ever lifting a finger himself. The second demon, Fegnia Yugnant, was the one who created the 7 pillars that rule Dimension Zero, and was a specialist in illusions. Manipulating masses of humans like he did this time was exactly his specialty. That was precisely why he was granted the rank of demon. Fegnia told him that if he thought he only had illusions, he was wrong. Ray was shocked when he saw him materialize the illusions. He created lots of fireballs and shot them with them. Fegnia was sure that even he wouldn't be able to withstand this. Ray created a shield to protect them from the fires. The others were confused, so he explained that those were hellfire magic. It was a high-tier magic that not only causes a massive explosion but also inflicts hellfire that clings to the victim until they die. Even the Dungeon Administration Bureau had no record of that kind of magic. Fegnia seemed like he was enjoying himself a little too much, so Ray was annoyed, so he decided to put an end to this. He used the sword and threw back all the hellfire he sent them. He said that this was the unique ability of the 4th demon Lendia Zoroaga, a power that unconditionally erases any and all existence. Fegnia asked if he had already completely recreated his power from back then. Ray called him an idiot and asked if he really thought it was only power from back then. He created dozens of demons, and this was no illusion. This was the destruction that preceded creation. He created what he had destroyed and forced it to serve him. That was his current level. Fegnia seemed like he finally understood how serious this was. He said that this was impossible to achieve. The Great Lord Demon would never allow such a power. Ray told him to quit his yapping and ordered those demons he created to get him show him what the original clone could do. As the demons rushed on him simultaneously, they used hellfire magic and an explosion happened, so they weren't sure if they got him. Unfortunately, Fegnia made his way out of that explosion and told Rie that a mere clone couldn't kill him. Rie was not nervous at all and told him that he was wide open. He approached him and used his sword to kill him. After defeating him, Rie realized that this sword suited him. On the floor, Fegnia asked if he was sure about this. To defeat him was to defy the Great Lord Demon himself. If he did that, this entire dimension would be wiped from existence. Rie responded that it was a bit late for that. He planned to take over this world from the start, so even if he let him go, they would just try the same thing. Besides, he learned not to carry the weight of the world on his own. Fegnia started laughing because he thought Rie lost his mind, thinking he could defy the Great Lord Demon. He told Rie that even this whole mess was nothing more than the prologue. Rie told him to just shut up. He was not who he used to be. Beyond the hate, beyond the resentment, he found the light. With that, he made the last attack and slashed his neck. They asked if it was over, but it wasn't. His memories told him there were still 8 powerful demons serving the Great Lord Demon. Until he defeated every last one of them, there was no rest for Rie. Suddenly, he collapsed to the ground and had a hard time breathing. He said that even if it was technically his own power, channeling the power of a demon through a human body took a toll. Karin hugged him very tightly while sobbing. She was so glad that he was okay. Ray asked her to be gentle with the hugging, but she couldn't help it, because she was nothing without him. For the first time, Ray hugged her back and called her a weirdo again. In the next scene, Ijima's phone started ringing, and it was the minister. He picked up the call and informed them that they had successfully defeated the root of all evil. He continued talking with them, and something he heard shocked him. He said he understood it, and he would begin the investigation immediately. When he hung up, Ray asked what was wrong. Before he informed them, he warned them to try not to panic. This was just a preliminary theory, but starting from the police and the Yakuza attacks, all the way to the broadcast in the Lendia's dungeon, regarding this entire incident, it was possible that the public's memories had been lost. Specific details were gone. It seemed the only thing widely known was that Rie and Karin defeated some sort of great evil. Shocked, Rie asked what he meant, but Ijima was as puzzled as they were. Everyone seemed to be going about their daily lives as if nothing had happened. But according to reports, despite such a massive disturbance, the police, the Yakuza, and even the security cameras, all data and memories from that time had completely vanished. Suddenly, Ray started recalling memories of Lendius again. Someone asked him if he was going to the human world. They seemed surprised that Lendius was asking them to erase his memories as a demon. Ray was shocked. Karin noticed that he dozed off again, and asked if he was okay. He said it was nothing. Someone named Izaki came, and Ijima suggested starting on the processing as soon as they got back. It looked like they would be pulling all-nighters for a while. Izaki laughed and agreed with Ijima, but Ray sensed something from that man. Ijima said that was one heck of a tough enemy this time, and Haba said it was thanks to Izaki, the boss, that they were saved. Karin seemed oddly excited and thanked Izaki for this, but Ray figured out what was going on and told him that he was just as twisted as Fegnia. He asked Izaki what his goal was by altering their memories. Karin and the others were confused and asked what he was saying. Izaki told Ray not to be angry. He said it was their way of saying hello. The moment he snapped his fingers, everyone started hearing a deafening sound except Ray. He asked Izaki what the hell he did. He told him not to worry and explained that he was just putting their memories back to normal. He lit up a puro and said it was good. Old man here had lived 2,000 years and it was the first time he had been this moved. He then asked him if he had a cigarette on him. Apparently they can't get this lively flavor back in the other world. Ri remembered him and said he hadn't changed a bit. He was the first demon, Eddie Arofan. Confused, Karin asked if this person was not Izaki. Ri explained that like him in the past life he was one of those who hold the title of demon. He was a bastard who altered people's memories however he liked and reshaped the world to fit his whims. With that power he buried the previous first demon and the one before that into darkness. The previous one received a false order from the Great Lord Demon and went to another world, never to return. The one before inexplicably went mad and was killed after rebelling against the Great Lord Demon. Idia told him not to be so on guard. He asked him to seal his memories, knowing exactly who he was. He was pretty crazy himself. Besides, he cast a memory alteration spell on him earlier too. But it didn't work on him at all. The old man here was happy. It was expected of the one called the strongest demon. Ri asked him about his goal and why he tampered with memories to make things convenient for him. Edia asked if he had forgotten their code. They generally obey the Great Lord Demon but their individual actions are free. As long as they didn't go against the Great Lord Demon's objectives they could basically do whatever they wanted. So he just did that for him. They were best friends back in the day. Rie didn't seem to believe that. Edia approached him and told him to be careful. The Great Lord Demon predicted ages ago that he might have a change of heart. He didn't care about something as small as this. But if he ever seriously went against his will, he was going to be killed. Ray told him to mind his own business. Edia started his teleportation magic and Ray asked if he was leaving. He said that this nostalgic old man just wanted to see his best friend's face. He had also locked away the memories he asked about in a corner of his mind. It seemed his memories of his past life hadn't been needlessly distorted either. It was a solid job. Edia said he wouldn't do anything sloppy to the strongest demon. He was looking forward to seeing what the strongest demon who worries about the world's future would accomplish here on out. After those words, he disappeared. A few days later it was announced to the public that they were continuing to investigate the recent incident where a group of police officers and Yakuza members fell unconscious. Leading the resolution of this case were high school students Daimomo Rei and Miyamoto Karin. While drinking their teas, Karin informed Rei that the subscriber count went up again. Rei told him to be quiet. They were trying to keep their identity a secret. It was good that Edia's memory alteration erased the truth of the incident from the public, but now he and Karin had become the talk of all Japan. He was so mad because his peaceful daily life was interrupted by that Edia. Karin wanted to stay together until late at night because it was Saturday, and then her face seemed oddly happy. She asked him to come over to her house today. Rei was shocked when she asked him that. She told him that her family was all out today, so there was no need to worry. But that was not really what he was worried about. With that, he found himself in Yuria's apartment. She prepared a feast for him. Rei was shocked that she had prepared all this by herself just for him. He started eating and was amazed by how delicious it was. She was so glad that he liked her cooking. Rei accidentally thought she was a little cute. While eating, he asked if this was her streaming room. She said it was her actual house. He thought she would have a bigger house with that many subscribers. He asked if her parents were always out until night. She seemed upset and explained that she didn't have any family. Rei was shocked. Karin then stood up and showed him a picture of them. She said that they left her behind and walked out. Back when she was little, her parents were fighting a lot. Her father cheated on her mother with another woman named Hanako, and he wanted to leave them to have a new life with her. She saw her mother cry her eyes out as his father said he didn't care about them. Crying, she asked her father where he was going. She was worried that they were fighting because her grades were bad. She promised to study harder from now on and get the perfect scores, but her father ignored her and left them. Her father was completely obsessed with his mistress, and he never came back. After it was just she and her mother. They were poor but they supported each other and were happy in their own way. But 2 years ago she returned home from school and saw her mother's new boyfriend. Her mother showed her new clothes, saying he bought them for her. She had decided to leave this house and marry him. She was leaving her 3 months' worth of living expenses and expected her to survive on her own after that. Shocked, Karin asked if she was throwing her away. Her mother told her that she raised her this far and that was enough. She had been working hard for her sake all this time, so she was done working for her now. With that, Karin lost her mother too. That's why she was so desperate back then. She thought that if she became a famous streamer she could make money. She worked part-time to buy streaming gear and did anything that seemed like it would get views. And then before she knew it she had 10 million subscribers. Rei realized that she was really something else. Karin mentioned that becoming popular like this didn't make her happy at all. Having her mother and father come back would have made her 1,000,000 times happier. That's why she wanted him to never leave her side. She approached him and said that she would do anything. She then kissed him. Rei was shocked. He grabbed her arm and told her to stop this. Karin asked him if he didn't have those kinds of urges. Rei told her that this was way too sudden, no matter how they looked at it. He told her to just relax because even without forcing something like this he had no intention of leaving her. Puzzled, Karin asked what he meant. He grabbed her face and kissed her on her forehead. They were both blushing after this move. Ray told her that it didn't suit his nature to let her take the lead all the time. Ray continued to eat, but he was still thinking about how strange Karin was. Karin asked why he thought that. He responded that she hadn't lost her memories of who he really was and what he had plotted in his past life. He asked if she wasn't scared that he might turn back into that form and attack her again. She was pretty sure that it wouldn't happen again, and if there was a chance of that, he would have stayed away from her. That was true, so Ray didn't say anything. She held his hands and reminded him that he could tell her whenever he felt like it, although she was not going to ask about it. Ray didn't expect her to be so understanding, and it showed. Suddenly, he snapped his fingers and a wind started capturing them. Confused, Karin tried to close her bottom and asked what was going on and what this was. Ray explained that he used instant teleportation. He assumed she had seen it before. She did, but she said he shouldn't be able to use his abilities outside the dungeon, so she was shocked. He stated that he became able to do it thanks to the second demon he killed. They found themselves in a place that seemed ruined. It was the Lendius dungeon. Karin was confused and nervous. Ray wanted to tell her about his past life. He thought that keeping it a secret forever would make things awkward for both of them. Monsters started attacking them, but Ray said something, and they stopped. Karin asked what that was. He said that it was the language he used when he was a demon. He explained that this dungeon was the place he used to rule. There was something he wanted to show her, so he grabbed her hand and started walking. He took her to the place where the gate to the underworld was located. He touched the wall and said this was a hidden room. It was a space only the dungeon boss could enter. He asked her to step inside. With that, they were inside the gate of the underworld. A long time ago, the center of this gate used to glow. If they passed through it, they could go to the underworld. The fact that the light was gone meant it was closed intentionally. Karin asked if that was the Great Lord Damon's doing, but Ray didn't know. But from their perspective, there was no telling what he might do in his current state. So sealing the entrance just in case was not a mistake. He said that the dungeon world was basically the same kind of dimension as the underworld. That's why, unlike Earth, it had game-like abilities and minerals that didn't exist here. 50 years ago, dungeons started appearing on Earth. It was all to establish gates on Earth and conquer it. Each demon was assigned to a territory to rule, and Earth was one of them. Back then, they made fun of him for being way too weak. But he always said that he was the man who was going to succeed the fourth demon. When he got big, he was going to conquer the Earth. No one believed him and kept laughing at him. He was sick of being underestimated and he started attacking the other demons. But then an explosion happened far away. Apparently, humans were attacking the underworld. They even got the fourth demon who ruled the Earth. He was shocked. He saw the monsters running away, including his mother and father.